In looking back at our investigations into the mishandling or removal of classified information, we cannot find a case that would support bringing criminal charges on these facts. All the cases prosecuted involved some combination of clearly intentional and willful mishandling of classified information, or vast quantities of information exposed in such a way as to support an inference of intentional misconduct, or indications of disloyalty to the United States, or efforts to obstruct justice. We do not see those things here.
And then there was the final shoe to drop, or should we say the final shoe we think has dropped. Attorney General Loretta Lynch has already stated she would abide by the findings of the FBI in the case of Hillary Clinton, her private email server, and whether any laws were actually broken, save for the law of incredible ignorance and carelessness on the part of somebody who should have known better. So when FBI Director James Comey wasted no time this morning in recommending no charges should be filed against the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee for her role in the seemingly never-ending email scandal, her opponents got to work characterizing it all as what we should expect from a rigged system, a crooked candidate. And dare we say, even a few are bringing up the conspiracy word, meaning we are destined to fall down yet another political rabbit hole that may at some point have us demanding our precious time be returned to us for what may amount to nothing at all. Keep those phone calls humming on a day where emotions are running high. We will come to your phone calls momentarily at 1-877-Newsmax, 1-877-639-7629. Let us then begin another sharp-eyed and keen-witted version of the political animal. Welcome back to former head of FEMA, who now rules the weekday afternoon drive airwaves at 630 KHOW in Denver, Colorado, Michael Brown, joined by the veteran Democratic media strategist who knows the dangers of Twitter and such, Franco Ripple. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. All right, Mike, let me get to you right up front with everything that we know today. Is this really that much of a bombshell when you look at it, or was this basically what the Republicans feared and knew would happen?
Well, I think it's a bombshell in this regard. It's a bombshell because after the director went through every single point about the investigation, I'm sitting there listening to the entire presentation, and I'm thinking, as a guy who used to prosecute, as a guy who used to be involved in the criminal justice system, I'm thinking, okay, we have intent. We have mens rea. We have the intention, because the moment that the secretary set up a private, and now we know multiple private email servers, that is the intent. And why we're not prosecuting? It's because I think it is a rigged system.
Now, you brought up mens rea, and Franco, I want to get to you in a moment on this, but you brought up that phrase, which is a legal phrase that basically speaks to specifically intent. And what the FBI is saying here is we could not find any intent to actually defraud or to actually basically commit a crime. So how do you cut that then, Michael, when they say that's what our legal experts tell us?
Because as the former Undersecretary of Homeland Security, had I deliberately set up a private email server so that all of my Homeland Security and female email had gone to that private server as opposed to the DHS servers, that shows intent. And I don't care what James Comey says, he can't get around that. That is intent.
Franco, to you on that as well, because Michael brings up an excellent point. We still are going to come down to intent on this. The RNC statement issued today, Hillary Clinton has spent the last 16 months looking into cameras, deliberately lying to the American people. They are saying that there was intent. Michael quotes intent. And there's even a lot of legal experts out there who say the FBI missed it. And somebody's going to dig back into this and go after intent. Isn't it fair to say that there are not celebratory moments right now at the Clinton campaign? There still has to be concern.
Well, I think, of course, the RNC is going to say that. Of course, fringe presidential candidates like Donald Trump are going to say that. Even Director Brown on this segment is going to say that because he's a political appointee. So I guess what I'm wondering, Mr. Brown, is if you're saying that if you would have been treated differently as a political appointee, if anyone below the level of secretary, or specifically this secretary, would have been treated differently, where is the intent? Can you point to a specific example of intent that would have been missed by in the words of Director Comey, the apolitical, professional, veteran investigators and prosecutors? This was not coordinated with anyone. Where is the intent that they missed? Where did they miss it? Because he said he was extremely proud to be a member of this organization, the FBI, and that they did an apolitical investigation that listens to absolutely no one, any of the political chattering class outside.
Well, let's get to the question. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, apparently you've never worked in the system, and the system works like this. The National Archives has rules, and we have statutes that require that all government business be conducted on these government servers, on government email. Plus, we have requirements that any classified information, from confidential all the way up to, we now learn today that we had top secret SCI, special compartmentalized information, that was on an unclassified server, a server that was set up specifically by the Secretary to avoid the National Archive rules, to avoid the classification rules. That is intent. And you can't see that because you, sir, are a Democrat spokesman, and I get that.
Go for the answer, Franco.
Yeah, except that doesn't show any intent whatsoever. In fact, as Director Comey said, it showed, no, I'm serious. Director Comey said that there was no intent at all to obstruct justice. What you're suggesting would be an obstruction of justice to deliberately go around the National Archival system. That is not, in fact, what happened. I think Republicans are in a little bit of damage control, which is something that you would understand a lot about, sir.
Okay, hang on one sec. I only got about a minute left here. Michael, brief. Go ahead.
The setting up of the server in and of itself outside the system shows intent, period.
So, Franco, I think that's a good point, though. If you're doing something purposely and you know that you are bypassing a certain part of the system, is not your intent to bypass it?
There was never any intent, as far as I know, and as far as the FBI disclosed today, there was never any intent to go around the National Archival systems. Things were forwarded to archival email addresses. Email addresses within the government that she corresponded with would have been automatically archived. So again, Director Brown, you can't say beyond any shadow of a doubt that there was intent that was missed by the FBI. These are just Republican talking points, which we would expect from a political appointee.
30 seconds, Michael. How do you then go about proving intent if you believe it still exists?
Well, okay, let's move from intent for a moment and go to the statute itself. It talks about gross negligence, and the gross negligence here is the mishandling of classified information. The Secretary of State, look, I was a lowly undersecretary, and I knew what confidential, secret, top secret, and TSSCI, all of which those clearances I had, I knew how to handle that information. And she grossly mishandled that information, and that's a specific violation of the statute, regardless of intent.
I only have 20 seconds left. I only have 20 seconds left, Franco. Wouldn't you agree that this is not over yet?
I would agree that it is well over. I think that, Mr. Brown, you're moving the goalposts. And, this is just what we would expect from political appointees, to just continue talking about it. It is over. The FBI has ruled. The Justice Department has said they will follow it. It's time to talk about what the American people really care about.
I do not think this is over. I'll tell you that much, Franco. We're out of time on this one. We're going to have to come back and do it again. We left everything else off the table right now because Brownie opened up a really good can of worms on this one, and we're going to have to continue to discuss it. Franco Ripple, Michael Brown, gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. See if I make this now. Mike Brown, remove Franco Ripple from Christmas list. Okay, that'll be all done here. We'll get those guys back on again. All right, let's get to your opinions right now. 1-877-NEWSMAX, 1-877-NEWSMAX. Be on point, make your point. Let's get to it. Mac from Savannah, Georgia. The difference between secret and top secret. Make it quick, Mac.
Ed, this is a huge point here that shows the staggering bombshell that was dropped today. The secret, I'm looking at Wikipedia. Classified secret when unauthorized disclosure could cause serious damage to national security. Okay? Top secret, disclosure of which could be reasonably expected to cause exceptionally grave damage to national security. And after 26 years in the Army with 6 combat tours, I can tell you the difference between the two is not so much, but top secret reveals how that information was gathered.
Well, let's also point out,
and assets and technologies at risk, and that's what she did.
I get what you're doing there, because let me make this point. Hang on a second. Let me make this point to bolster what you're pointing out here. You're talking about Comey said the FBI found 110 emails on Clinton's server that were classified at the time they were sent or received. If that is exactly the case, and that is what the man said, then it would seem that we do have an instance where Hillary Clinton lied for quite a long time. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for your service. Karen in Columbus, Georgia. All right, Karen, you're an IT professional. You're disappointed in the ruling. 30 seconds. Tell me why.
Well, I understand the ruling because I understand where the server is, and it's essentially she took a filing cabinet from the government and she placed it in her basement because that server
Right.
contains all the files. So I don't care if they're archived or not. She can hold on to them. She can throw them away. We can't get to them. So that was one issue that I was really upset with. And the other is he warned us at the end that this ruling is a warning that others might be prosecuted for something like that, but
Well,
she's not.
And I'll tell you what a big part of this is, and thank you very much for your phone call, Karen. A lot of things that we're hearing today is David Petraeus actually got a lot more than this. He was punished a lot more for doing a lot less. At least people believe that. And then there is still that discussion about, did she know what she was putting in her home server? Was it hacked? Was it open to governments overseas to be able to look at? We got a long way to go on this. Trust me, we're going to be talking about this for days. The bloody month of Ramadan, and a belief by some that ISIS is truly on the run. Or are they? We're going to jump off to something new coming up next on The Hardline.